Okay, so I've just done a bit of research about colours and the connotations behind them and what they mean. I've done some research to try and give me an idea of what colours I want to use on my poster for my film. And I've kind of done a lot of research, and the colour red, which is probably the main colour that I was aiming to use, is a symbol of the colour of fire and blood, so it's also associated with energy, war, kind of like danger, strength and power. As well as representing the determination, as well as passion, desire and love. So I thought the idea behind this would work quite well because it fits in with the love interest between Scarlett and Jake in our film, but also kind of the danger and bad energy between the femme fatale and her dad, and how the whole Enigma code comes out at the end to show that when the roles are reversed and she kills him. I was going to use maybe the background of the poster would be black or dark colour, so it might be the hue might be a bit blue. But I thought this could work quite well because blue is kind of generally considered beneficial to the mind and body. It sees how it slows human metabolism and produces a very calming effect within them. So it's strongly associated with tranquility and calmness. But it's also used to symbolise sincerity also, so I think this could work quite well, kind of bring the two, kind of like the calming of all the calming before the storm. For example, in the film, like, it starts off quite relaxed and you see, like, you get the characters are revealed and introduced, and they all seem very, like, kept to themselves and very, generally speaking, everyday normal people who don't have anything suspicious about them. But then when the plot line starts to unveil and reach its climax, we see them come out of their own and, like, fireworks explode and their characters really come into their own. But then black is, which will be like in the backdrop of the poster, but behind the characters, I think that's kind of good because the way it symbolises power, elegance, kind of formality, death, evil and mystery. It's a very mysterious colour and is usually associated with fear and the unknown, for example like black holes. It has usually a negative connotation for like black death, black humour and blacklist, and it kind of denotes the strength and authority and is considered to be very formal, elegant and a prestigious colour. For example like black tie events, tuxedos, etc. But it's also kind of the connotation of grief and death as well, so it kind of gives a very individual reminder to a particular person if they've experienced death in a way. For one example, when you go to a funeral you tend to wear black as a way of grieving, so it's kind of like a deep colour that kind of like almost like hides secrets, which is quite good, fits with our film because there's a lot of hidden secrets, like the femme fatale's dad is actually the murderer of Jake's dad, but we don't know this, so it kind of connotates the idea of death, and so I think it could work quite well, but maybe not as a font because it won't stand out much, but more as like a backdrop colour. I was thinking maybe white would be good to use because it kind of symbolises light, goodness, innocence, purity and virginity, and it's considered to be the colour of perfection. It means kind of like safety, purity and cleanliness, which is opposed to obviously the colour of black, as it's usually a positive connotation, whereas black's negative. It can represent a successful beginning, and it depicts faith and purity, so I think it would work quite well because kind of it's almost in contrast with the background that I'd have, because it'd be quite dark, so like the writing represents the pure and innocence of the character of the femme fatale at the beginning, how she's a regular everyday girl, she's got her boyfriend, she's got her life, like everything's normal. By the end of the film we see how she's been corrupted by all the happenings around her, and how she's been made to do things that you wouldn't stereotypically think that a girl of her age or of her kind of like build would be capable of. So I think it's kind of a good way of like showing twists and turns within the plot line before you've even seen the film. I didn't want to use any colours that would be too bright and too vibrant because I didn't want to have to like make it too obvious, so I'm not going to use colours such as green, yellow, purple or orange, because green is like the colour of nature, it symbolises growth, harmony and freshness, so it's not particularly fits in with the film very well. Yellow is a colour of sunshine and it's associated with joy, happiness, intellect and energy, but I don't think this fits in well with the genre of the film because yellow is generally used in more films like comedies or like films for a younger generation, such as like Disney films. You tend to see yellow titles. purple could work quite well, but I'm not sure that it'll go well with the actual picture, as generally speaking, the lighting I have in the poster. It's quite dark anyway, but purple is kind of similar to the connotation of blue, as it symbolises like royalty and like nobility and luxury and ambition. So perhaps the ambition side, it will work quite well. The ambition of Jake to find out who murdered his dad, but then I'm not sure. So I think overall, the connotation of colours that I will use will probably be red, black and white, and maybe a bit of grey, because it's also a darker, more earthy colour, but it's not as dark as black, so it kind of sees like it's kind of a mystical effect, because although like black is very like blunt and very like grief, death, like very dark, grey is kind of more like a mixture between white and black, so it's kind of showing like two sides to the characters that we have in the film, like two sides to Rose. That we have the innocence, and then we have like the kind of bad girl taking over, and then mix the two together. Whereas like Jake, he starts off kind of like very harsh, very like, I want to find who killed my dad, and then at the end of the film he kind of like comes around to the idea, and we think that he's the killer, but he's not. So it shows that he's obviously calmed down, like he knows who killed his dad now. He's not so violent. So I think the title of my film will probably be most likely in white, because it will show the pure innocent side of it, and it will really go well against a black backdrop. I think maybe I'll have the writing at the bottom in red or white also, to show like the connotation of the film, like either purity, innocence, goodness, or some writing perhaps in red, which represent like desire, passion, but also like death and danger. So I think it's all quite work well. So I think this research has actually helped me quite a lot into the idea of colours in my film, and what will work well with the genre of film noir and what won't.